All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 problems people tend to have with painting commissions, and I'm going to give some solutions to those problems. All right, welcome to Paint Talk, the weekly show where I sit, have a cup of coffee, and just kind of talk about oil painting. If you're new to the channel, then welcome to Paint Coach. My name is Chris Fornatero, and I'm here to help simplify oil painting so that you can get better faster. All right, so the first problem people have with painting commissions is not getting any. So how do you get painting commissions? Well, the first thing that you can do, and I highly suggest that you do, is have good samples on social media. Social media is just a very easy way to reach a lot of people, and the more people you can reach, the more opportunities you have to get possible commissions. I definitely think it is worth the time and the effort to work on building your social media following. Like a few years ago, I got somebody who had a lot of followers to repost one of my paintings, and that led to some decent growth on my Instagram, and that actually led to a lot of consistent commissions. I mean, from that point on, I could get consistently at least like $1,000 a month in commissions, which is very helpful because at the time I was waiting tables. Doing painting commissions sure beats waiting tables. Now, another thing to get more commissions is be willing to do a free painting here or there. You know, it can be worth it doing a free painting for somebody who will be able to show that painting to a lot of people. And this transfers over well into social media. You know, doing a painting for somebody that has a lot of followers that will repost it, it's more eyeballs on your work, therefore more opportunities for commissions. It's also true off of social media. If you know somebody who, if you did a painting for and they put it in their house, and a lot of people will see it, or a lot of people that like art will see it, they have a lot of friends that like art, paintings, and are more likely to commission something for you, it might be worth doing painting for them for free or for a discounted rate, just to help get your work out there. Now, on the note of getting your paintings out there, it's also helpful to just have you actually painting out there and painting in public. Painting in public can lead to commissions. I painted in a, like a restaurant cafe for a while, and it did help with getting commissions. People would see the work that I'm doing, they'd be like, oh, like, could you paint this? Like, yeah, I'll give them my card, and it'd lead to a commission. Also, when I plein air paint, like when I go out and plein air paint, I'm doing it just solely for me. People come up to me like, oh, like, do you have a card? And I'll give them a card and they'll contact me. You'll get a commission that way. But if there aren't any businesses around you that have live painting, maybe offer it to some. It's actually really helpful for both you and their business because you're offering them free live entertainment for their customers. And if you sell something, you could say you'd give them a percentage of whatever you sell, since they are the ones bringing the customers there, and you get exposure. Now, the most important thing that you need to be doing to get more commissions is always be getting better. Trust me, the better you get, the more commissions people will want from you. There's a lot of different things you can be doing to get commissions and be focusing on a lot of things, but don't ever lose focus on getting better. Always be improving. No matter what you're doing business-wise with your paintings, that always needs to be the top priority. Nothing will get you more commissions like improving your work. All right, second problem with commissions that people have is pricing their work. People don't know how to price it. They price it too high, too low, this or that. How do you figure out what your pricing should be? First off, you need to have a good understanding of how long it takes you to paint something, because I feel like that's the number one factor in deciding your prices. And you need to know what your time is worth. And that's different for every single person. Like, there's a lot of people out there like, oh, you should price per square inch or this or that. I mean, yeah, size does come into play. Like, I'm gonna charge more for a portrait on a 18 by 24 canvas than an 11 by 14. But it really comes down to like how much effort I feel like that painting is going to take, and that can vary from painting to painting. And whenever I'm giving quotes to people that haven't sent me like an actual photo or an actual thing that they want, I always say that these are ballpark figures. I say, all right, ballpark, like a portrait of one person, just like their head, is gonna be this much, 2 people is this much. But if you start adding stuff in, like if you want a background and you give me a picture and the person also has their hand up, now I have to paint a hand, and you want, the sailboat that's in the background and like all this other stuff, it's like that's going to increase the price. And I don't give a final price until everything is on the table and I know exactly what the painting is going to be. Now, like I said, like you're really gonna have to figure out specifically for you what prices work for your situation. For example, when I was waiting tables, I felt like, oh, if I could get a painting commission that would take me around 4 or 5 hours to do, I could charge between $100 and $200 to do that, or I could go wait tables for 5 hours and make around that much money. It's like, all right, I'll charge $100 to $200 for this portrait, and I won't have to go wait tables at night. And a lot of people are like, oh, like that's way too cheap. That's way too cheap. It's like, yeah, that might be, but for my situation right now, it's better for me to take it at this price. And if this is too low, then that means I'll get a lot of commissions because it's a low price and it's a good deal. And once I have so many commissions that I'm booked out and I don't have time and I have to turn them away, that's when I'll raise my prices. And that's what I did. You know, later on, I got enough that I was like, you know what, I think I can raise my prices now. And I did. Now, there can always be exceptions to, you know, your pricing. Every situation is going to be different. A lot of times I'd give people a deal if it was a subject that I didn't really have a good painting sample for. Like I had somebody ask to see a sample of paintings that I'd done of like houses, like they wanted a house painting, they wanted to see a sample. And I didn't have one, so I ended up not getting that commission. And then later on, I had a friend like, hey, like I want a painting of my house. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, absolutely. And I did it for a cheap price because I was like, I want that sample. I want to be able to show any future clients that want to see a sample of a house, be like, oh yeah, I got one, it's right here, take a look. So like, don't stress out about like setting an exact perfect price right off the bat. The truth is, it's gonna take time to figure it all out. There's just a lot to figure out with commissions in general, and you'll dial in the right price over time. Just be willing to make mistakes at the beginning. You're gonna do paintings for cheaper than you should have. There might be times where you'll probably charge more than you probably should have, but it's fine. That's really like the only way that you're gonna learn what to do. All right, problem number 3, dealing with the clients. This is the problem you hear probably the most. Like people like, oh, I got these such difficult clients, you know, they don't know what they want, or they do know what they want, and they keep asking for alterations, all this stuff. I've always found that it's best to be as honest with them as you can right from the beginning. You know, let them know what will work and what won't work. A lot of commissions that I get were portraits. So I'd say like, oh, send me any possible photos that you would like, and I will tell you which ones I think will translate well into a painting. And I'll explain to them like, look, just because you like a certain photo doesn't mean it's going to work well as a painting. And you get a lot of people that have photos that have a lot of meaning to them, but they don't really make good paintings. And so you gotta be honest with them, be like, look, like there's not enough detail in this photo, or there's not enough information here for me to make a good painting. Also make sure that they've seen samples of your work and they know your style. And so you can say like, hey, like if I do this for you, like this is kind of how it will look. This is like really important if you have like a pretty distinct style. Like my portraits are, I guess, relatively loose. There's definitely a lot of painters that paint a lot tighter, more detailed portraits than I do. So I'd like let my client know that they're gonna get a portrait where you're gonna be able to see the brushwork. Also know when to say no, like be able to say like I can't do that, or like that's too much. You know, you'll get people be like, oh, like I want a picture of me, you know, riding a unicorn over a volcano, and then there's a dragon, I'm holding a sword, and then I got a Twinkie in my hand. Like, you got to be like, all right, I can't, like that's going to be a lot, and I'm either going to have to charge you like a fortune to paint all that. Like you got to be willing to tell people like that's too much, or like that's not going to work. As far as alterations go, like I've seen some painters on their website say that like with portrait commissions, the client is only allowed to send it back 3 times for alterations. Now I personally would welcome people to give feedback or say what they liked or didn't like, but there definitely gets to a point where it's like, all right, you know, I think we pushed this thing as far as we can go, and you got to let them know that. But going back to something I said earlier, which is always be trying to get better at painting. The better you get, the less alterations people are going to ask for. I definitely noticed a change when I got to a certain level that a lot of people would be completely happy with the first thing that I showed them. Now that wasn't all just my skill level getting better, it was me getting better at commissions. And I was better able to weed out, you know, photos that wouldn't work, and I wouldn't take commissions that I knew I would struggle with because of the reference material. A lot of times I would use Photoshop to do like a mock-up of stuff. I'd be like, all right, like I'll use this photo for the portrait, but I'll just kind of have like a neutral background and I'll put like a color in or something. Or if they wanted 2 people together, I try to put it together in Photoshop. I just try and give as least amount of surprises to the client as possible so they know what they're paying for. You know, you always want to make the client feel comfortable and understand what's going on at every step of the process. Now you really want to treat your clients well, because when you're doing commissions, the majority of your commissions are going to come from repeat clients. You know, you want to be professional with them. Now, if you take commissions, you'll learn that like the busiest time of year is around the holidays. So what I would do is I would send out a personal email to previous clients saying, hey, holidays are coming up. If you'd like to commission a painting for a gift, now's the time before I get booked out. You're a previous client, so I wanted to make sure you get taken care of first. And a lot of times I would trigger commissions. People would be like, oh yeah, like I totally forgot, or like, yeah, I want to get it in, now. That's a good idea. But it's just really important to build a good relationship with your clients. All right, now time for the last problem, which is getting paid. I get a lot of people like asking like, how do you get paid? Like, do you like ask for some up front, and what if they don't pay you? If it's online and you don't know them, all that stuff. Now there is like an element of trust here, I guess, when you're dealing online through social media and you have never met the person. But I would always ask for, half up front to get started, just to kind of, protect myself, and worst case scenario that I mail them the painting and then never hear from them again, which never happened, by the way. I actually did tons of commissions through online, and I actually never had like a big problem with getting paid. But just like your pricing, like you're gonna have to figure out what amount is worth it to you to get going. And you can say like that's non-refundable. Like you can say like, oh, I need a third up front, a quarter up front, whatever it is, certain dollar amount. So in the event that, like the painting doesn't go well, or the client's just not happy and they just don't want it, you still got something out of it. So a lot of times for me, the way it'd go is I'd ask for half up front, and then the second half upon them receiving the painting, plus the shipping. Don't forget about the shipping. You can say like, oh, like once I ship it, I'll send you a picture of the receipt showing you how much the shipping is. And so you can pay me that plus the shipping. Now, if you're like doing the packing yourself, which I did for a while, like you should also calculate the time and effort and the materials of actually shipping that. And the cool thing is like once you've done enough commissions and you kind of figure out shipping costs and you know what it will be, you can just work that into the price right from the start and make it a lot easier. I thought it was always easier for clients to just like have one set price and not like oh, it's going to be this much, but I'll let you know what shipping is, so I'll let you know that later. And this, it's just easier to be like, all right, it's going to cost this much, because I knew what the shipping would be. I knew the added in dollar amount for my time and effort to pack and ship it, and just made things easier. Now, another cool thing though is if you find one of these mailing stations that's kind of like a, mom and pop owned place, you can actually build a good relationship with them. And in my experience, I've done that. Like I'm friends with the guy that mails any of my paintings. And one, it makes me feel comfortable because I know him, he's my friend. I trust him to pack it well. Like I know he's gonna take the time and effort, pack it properly and nice and safe. And also like, I don't have to worry about it because, packing and shipping paintings can be a pain. Like you have to find the right box. You got to get, bubble wrap or foam or this or that. And at a certain point, I found it worth it just to pay the extra cost to have somebody else do it. I think I could only do that if I knew the person personally. So if you go to, ship a painting at like a local mailing station, make friends with the person behind the desk, make them want to take care of your paintings. I mean, they're probably going to want to do that anyway because they're going to want your repeat business. They're going to be like, oh, like I want this person to come in every single time they have a painting to ship, so I better do a good job shipping it. All right, I hope you liked that video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see what I'm painting on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at 4s43. I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting.